Welcome to Lacrosse Classified on the Lax All-Stars Podcast Network, presented by Extreme Threads. Your home for the latest news from the National Lacrosse League and indoor lacrosse. Now, let's talk some lacrosse with your hosts, Jake Elliott and Evan Schemenauer.
All right, lacrosse fans, you heard the man. It's time to take your seats, settle down, and get ready for Lax Class. Extreme Threads, Lax Class here on the Lacrosse All-Stars Podcast Network, where we grow the game one podcast at a time. Thanks for joining us here once again on Lacrosse Classified. It's Jake Elliott, and let's bring Evan Schemenauer in right off the top here. Evan, another big week of the National Lacrosse League in the books, and another big one on deck. Thanks for joining us back here on the podcast.
And let's not forget, somebody went a perfect 4-0 this week. And
I'm not sure. We'll discuss that in mere moments here, but I don't know if we need to talk about that right away. But, somebody is also still in the lead from last week as well, so we can also discuss that. How was your weekend?
Oh, I mean, you can always celebrate a victory when you're a Rush fan. But minus 40, minus 48 the one night in Saskatoon. I know you loved it. You just can't really do much other than sit in the house and watch games.
It's crazy, to still get over, close to 13,000 people coming out to SaskTel Center in minus 48 degree weather. It's just a real testament to Rush Nation and how dedicated they are to that team. When I'm there, I literally go from the airport to the hotel to the SaskTel Center, the SaskTel Center to the hotel to the SaskTel Center. I don't go outside. The biggest gap of outdoors I have is from the hotel door to the bus door. And the bus drives right into the arena. So, I don't even pack a coat when I go there because I just don't spend any time outside because you can't, you try and explain the cold to somebody there and you just can't do it justice because it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how people do it year round, man. It's crazy.
No, I mean, this one's been unusual. We normally do get a week of minus 40 in January and just survive it and you move on. But I mean, once it gets a little warmed up, you'll like it because about a block from the hotel, there's a great park. You can go exercise there. The sun's up till 10 at night, come May, June. So, you'll get to enjoy it more once we get into the positive temperatures here.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I got to be honest with you. I'd like to kind of get out and trek about Saskatoon because I haven't really had a chance to experience it a whole lot. Enough about the weather here, Evan Schemenauer. Let's get into Week 12's action. There was 4 big games on the docket in Week 12 in National Lacrosse League action. So let's get into who we had, and you know the deal by now. It's presented by Stampede Tack and Western Wear. They are your complete source for boots, hats, belts, jeans, all things Evan Schemenauer will be wearing at the end of the year. And they ship Canada-wide, located in Cloverdale since 1967, online at stampede.ca, where shopping online is still shopping local. Evan alluded to it. He had a good week. He did better than me, but I'm still in the lead, and that's what really matters at the end of the day. First game up was 2-7 Rochester going up against 7-4 the Georgia Swarm at home. And no surprise in this one, really, Evan, but a big night for Withers, and the faceoff dot goes 24 for 28, but it was a 7-1 third quarter for Georgia that really spelt the end for Rochester in that one. 15-11 Swarm over the struggling Nighthawks.
For those that didn't get to see the game, massive discipline problems for Rochester. They actually had an 8-7 lead early in the second quarter. All of a sudden, Jameson takes a slash way behind the play. Georgia gets a power play goal. They got another one right after that. Then Billy D. Smith is Billy D. Smith. As much as he's a great aggressive defender, he sometimes goes too far. And he claimed he got speared in the neck, and then I didn't see it. I don't know if he wasn't. I can't tell. But all of a sudden, he takes a slash, then a couple punches to Jeremy Noble. Rochester's down 7 minutes. And just as that penalty is about to get killed off, It was a 4-on-4 situation because Georgia had taken one. Rochester took a bit of a gamble, pulled the goaltender a couple of minutes left in the third quarter to get a 5-on-4 situation. One guy blows a tire. Jordan McIntosh goes the length of the field, puts it in the empty net, and as he's shooting the ball, Goodleaf gives him an elbow to the head. Another 5-minute major for Rochester. When Georgia got 4 goals during that 12-minute span, that killed it. And it also killed any chance, really, that Rochester had to get back in this game. I absolutely loved Ian Garrison being mic'd up in this game. It was hilarious to watch it, although a lot of F-bombs getting dropped because Rochester are obviously frustrated with the calls going the other direction. But Rochester's in serious trouble right now. They're 4.5 games behind New England, 8 games to go. It's going to take a mini miracle at this stage for them to get back in the playoff race.
Yeah, it's funny. I was kind of watching that game out of the corner of my eye as I was preparing for the game I was about to do, and I kind of looked and I saw an empty net in the third quarter, and Rochester was down 4 or whatever it was, and I was like, "What are they like? Are they actually pulling the goalie this early to try and get a comeback in?" And then I saw the empty net goal go in, and kind of all heck break loose there, and yeah, I think you're right. I'm not. This 2-7 or 2-8 now Rochester team is a far cry from the 2-6 team that went to the finals last year. I just don't see the same makeup in that Nighthawk lineup, and I guess it probably starts with Matt Vince, and we've kind of talked about it before, Evan. Like, you can look at what the Buffalo Bandits are doing, 9-2 with Vince in their lineup, and you can look what the Rochester Nighthawks are doing without Vince in their lineup at 2-8, and I don't know if it all starts and stops right there with Vino, but he's a large reason for that discrepancy, I think. And, he's not coming back, so I don't know what Rochester's going to do. And the other thing with the Nighthawks here, it's a tough situation. It's like they're kind of a lame duck there in Rochester with everybody knowing they got one foot out the door and heading for Halifax, and this is a really tough situation. I'm sure they kind of wanted to go out on a high note, but now the fans are probably going to be like, why are we going to get behind this team? They're just going to leave anyway. Let's look forward to next year, sort of thing. So we'll see what happens down the stretch. It's not going to get any easier for Rochester. Well, it might, with Callum Crawford's suspension looming, as we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. Oh, we should probably mention who we got on the show, Evan. I always forget to do that. You got to remind me to do that, man. We got 2 guys coming off of wins this weekend. From the San Diego Seals, assistant offensive coordinator. Well, he's the offensive coordinator. Assistant coach. Good friend of the show and a good friend of mine, Josh Shooter Sanderson, will join us here in about 10 to 15 minutes' time. And then from the Saskatchewan Rush, one of my favorite players to watch play, and just one of my favorite guys in general. He's the all-time leader in games played for the Rush, and my man, brand new papa, Bret Minsky, will be on the podcast as well. So we'll look forward to conversations with Shooter and the man they call Ski. But let's move on. The other thing I want to talk about Georgia here quickly is Cole. Brian Cole. It looks like they found something up front here with Cole. 3 goals, 3 assists. He had 3 goals on 5 shots for the Swarm in that game.
Yeah, although, once again, you run into that issue with Georgia. That they've got a lot of offensive firepower. If guys start to step up like that, they're probably going to be big pickings in July for the expansion teams.
Yeah, true. All right, so we both had Georgia over Rochester in that one. As we move along here in Stampede Tax, who we had, and next up was a game, again, that you were at. I was up in the booth for. It was the second installment of the Battle of the Prairies. Remember, Calgary took the first installment 17-12, the first time they've ever won in Saskatchewan earlier in the year. So the Rush were looking for some payback, and they get it here, Evan. A 6-3 first quarter, a 4-1 fourth quarter. Dixon and Dobie were good for the Roughnecks, but that was really about it offensively. It was a well-balanced attack for the Rush. Shatler, the best player on the floor, with 7 points. McIntosh with 6. Church with 5. Matthews with 4. They really spread out their scoring. For me, in this game here, Evan, it came down to Saskatchewan's transition game. Their special teams were their special teams, and Evan Kirk had another good performance 15-9 the final in this one as the Rush now back-to-back games holding opponents under 10. They've won 3 games in a row. They're back up top of the Western Division and starting to look and feel like the Saskatchewan Rush again.
Well, we'll see in a couple of weeks. They have a bye week, and then they face Buffalo at home, which Buffalo's only ever lost one game in Saskatoon, and that it was Game 2 of the 2016 finals. The transition certainly was rocking. They had the defense had 8 points. You know, for a team that was struggling to get one goal off transition, it was on fire. But Calgary's holes in their defense in that opening half, you don't expect Christian Del Bianco to let in 10 in a game, but it wasn't his fault. You know, when the Rush are constantly getting open 10 feet in front of the net, it was a shooting gallery, and there wasn't a whole lot that Del Bianco could do. And the other guy you got to talk about here is Kyle Rubus. You know, another absolutely amazing game. When Dobie was on the floor, Rubus tracked him, and you look at Dobie's stats. Yeah, he had 3 goals, but one was on the power play, one was with Rubus off the floor. All game he beat Rubus once. And, you know, we talked last week about our mid-season Defender of the Year, Steve Priolo. I'm starting to wonder if I should start to change my pick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's tough because Priolo had the week off, but Buffalo's sitting there at 9-2. I think Pri's still in the conversation, but Rubes is definitely working himself into that conversation if he's not there already. I was ultra impressed with Graham Hossack and what he has been able to accomplish so far this year.
Matt Hossack?
Yeah, excuse me, Matt Hossack. Thank you for that. It's like his confidence level has gone up about 5 levels. And you look, you know, with Cornwall and Dilks going out for the year, some other guys have had to take steps forward. And I think Hossack and Messenger kind of come to the forefront when I think about it. Like, they've kind of filled those roles. And then it's guys like Jordy Jones-Smith and Finley and Cornwall who've kind of stepped into those roles behind them. So everybody's kind of getting bumped up a notch here, but I really feel like the defense is much more well dialed in. Like, they know where the second and third slides are coming from now, and everybody's a little more comfortable in their roles. The offense was going. So just hanging around that team for the weekend, I just felt like this is more the feeling I had earlier in the year, and you're right. We'll see after a bye week, and then Buffalo coming in, best team in the National Lacrosse League, how they fare. They've struggled against the East. They've done very well against the West, but this will be an important game for them before they head to San Diego in a few weeks' time. So Calgary drops that one. Saskatchewan moves to 6-4. Another game in the West, and it was a season series on the line here between these two teams. 3-7 Vancouver taking on 4-4 San Diego. It was Vancouver with that convincing 14-6 victory earlier, just a couple of weeks ago over San Diego. So you knew the Seals were going to be motivated in this one. It was a pretty tight game most of the way in front of 9,100 fans there at Pechanga Arena. Mitch Jones continues to impress. Jordan McBride with 4 goals in that one, but they come up short. Buchanan with 5, Stotts with 4 and 2, Jackson with 2 and 4, and San Diego just kind of held Vancouver at bay. They got the 2-goal lead on them. They just kind of kept it there for the majority of the game in that second half. 13-10 your final. San Diego over the Warriors.
And, Austin Stotts, finally, he had a bit of a scoring slump the last couple of games. He comes back with 4 and 2. A lot of people surprised. The Warriors started Aaron Bold, not Eric Penny. And, yeah, Penny's a hot hand, but, Bold was your starter. You got to give him a game here and there. And, he stopped 46 of 58. He was just below 800 on the save percentage. He had a good night. But it was just in that fourth quarter, San Diego had an extra step. They out-muscled Vancouver. Vancouver started to stall out and what have you. But Vancouver had some defensive struggles. Face-offs, they were 8 for 27. And they badly lost the loose ball battle. I believe it was 88-65. So this is something that haunted them from the past. San Diego remains at just a half game behind the Rush.
Yeah.
And These two play down in San Diego in 3 weeks.
Yeah, March.
So
March
you're going to have
22nd.
another battle for first place.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm actually going to try and sneak down there, I think. Got to catch the boss in a good mood and then see if I can make my way down there. I want to just quickly go back to Rod. I don't know, you saw it, you kind of alerted me to it, Evan, and Kyle Jackson's goal, which has to be the candidate for the goal of the year. If you haven't seen that yet, check my timeline, check Evan's, check Dan Allel's. Kyle Jackson goes, well, he's at the lefty shooter spot, but he's got his back to the goal. The shot clock's winding down. He goes between the legs, short side, top corner from about 15 feet away from the goal. An absolute rocket. Unbelievable goal from Kyle Jackson. So go find that on social media because it's worth a look. And it's kind of been the same old story here for Vancouver. They're in games, but they just can't quite get over the hump. They're in it, and then they're not in it. And loose balls have been an issue for that Vancouver franchise for the last number of years. They continually get out loose balled, and like you'll hear coaches from minor to major loose balls win games, and there's a reason people say that because it's true. And if you don't win loose ball battles you can win some games without winning the loose ball battle. It'll happen, but more often than not, whoever wins the loose ball battle is going to win the game, and that's an area of concern for Vancouver. They got to be, but they're just, with all that being said, they're just one game back of Colorado for that fourth and final playoff spot. And speaking of Colorado, the struggles continue for Pat Coyle's Mammoth as they go into, so just once again, we both had Georgia, we both had Saskatchewan, we both had San Diego. We were 3-0 going into Sunday's game. You had New England, I had Colorado. Black Wolves beat the Mammoth 17-11, and man, do they love playing at the Mohegan Sun Casino. What are they now, Evan? 6-1 on their home floor. And this game was like a 3-goal lead for New England most of the way, and then they just kind of pulled away in the fourth quarter. 17-11 your final. Black Wolves keep it rolling. They're 7-4 now. Colorado 3-7. And there's trouble in Mammoth Land. I don't know what they got to do there, but they can't score, and then they give up 17. That's not a good recipe to win games in this league.
It was an interesting game because, the first half, the commentators were kind of looking for some action to actually happen. I think it was 2-0 after the first, and at the 5-minute TV timeout in the second, it was still 4-1, 4-2. There wasn't a whole lot happening, and then second half, everything exploded. How critical is this win for New England? If Crawford is indeed going to be sitting 6 games, and he's not going to be back until the last regular season game, they needed to get some massive distance between themselves and Rochester and Philly. So they've got that. And he went off for 11 points. So, he went, he's got his goal fill in it for a while. Digby gets 4 goals. Even Eli McLaughlin continues to impress. Like the Mammoth offense doesn't have much going for it, except Eli McLaughlin and Kyle Killen. But Ryan Benesh continues to rack up the points.
Well, Evan, he had like 14 shots in that game, and I think he had 1 goal, did Ryan Benesh, and Ryan Lee had 2 and 4. He's taken a step forward this year as well. But you're right, Eli McLaughlin has kind of put that team on his back, and it's just not enough in Mammoth Land. And Noble continues his struggles. But you're right, Callum Crawford, goes ham in this game, thinking that it may be his last game for a while here. But we've kind of been digging around a little bit on this Crawford suspension here, and we're catching wind, Evan, and this is kind of breaking news here, I guess, a little bit, but this might not actually be a 6-game suspension here for Crawford. Like, they may change this because of, well, I don't know how to put it. They may rescind a match penalty, so it's not a 6-game suspension. This is what's the wind that's are blowing around here, that it's not good to have a superstar on an MVP caliber season serve a 6-game suspension. And I think this is really dicey territory here for the National Lacrosse League. Like, Okay, now you look at Saskatchewan and Nick Bielich, who, if he does something stupid in the next 2 years, he's gone for 6. Nick Bielich is not Callum Crawford, but it's a slippery slope if you're going to start curtailing rules because of the profile of the player who committed the infraction. You know what I'm saying here? So, yeah, it's probably not good business for New England if their superstar player and a guy that's leading the league in scoring is sitting out for 6 games because he elbowed a guy in the head and did it twice in a 2-year span. I get it. And Callum Crawford is not, is not a dirty player. He's not a guy that goes out looking to hit people. He doesn't take a ton of penalties, all the rest of it. But the bottom line is he did it. And it's right there in video. The rule is in black and white. And now all of a sudden, because it's Callum Crawford, you're thinking about changing this rule in the middle of a season. You want to be taken seriously as a legitimate league. You cannot be curving rules or changing rules because of the player's profile that committed the infraction. It's not a good look, and it's a real slippery slope to go down. How do you think Greg Harnett and the Calgary Roughnecks are going to feel if this, in fact, does change? They're going to lose their mind, and I'm sure there's lots of teams that are going to lobby against this, but I think there's probably a few that are going to lobby for it. And like I said, I like Callum Crawford a lot, but man, you do the crime, I think you got to do the time, and the rule is the rule, and if you just change the rule because it's Callum Crawford or it's Lyle Thompson or it's whoever because it's a superstar, that's not a good look on the league. That's a real slippery slope to go down.
No, and first off, I got to applaud Brian Lemon and his crew for doing the right thing. They laid down the law as it was in the book. It wasn't a superstar treatment. He's got the 6 games, and it was an obvious match penalty. It's not like it was, and go back to Greg Harnett. The second one, I thought it was a match penalty, but it's close.
Yeah.
Right? And he got nailed 6 games. Whether it was intent to put Jeremy Noble's head into the boards or whether it was, just a run-of-the-play thing, but it happened, and the precedent's been set. You can't change it. I sit on a provincial disciplinary board in Saskatchewan. Once you got that precedent set, it applies across the board. It doesn't matter whose name's on it. Unless they're a repeat offender, then you got to tack it on. But, New England's going to make the playoffs. And the odds of them, in my mind, of getting up that playoff set is minimal. I think, I don't think they're going to get a home playoff game, not the way Buffalo and Toronto are playing. But I don't think they're going to get caught by Rochester or Philly.
No.
So, what's the issue here?
Well, that shouldn't even matter or be considered whether, it's because they're going to get a home playoff game or they're going to get extra fans into their arena because Crawford is playing or they're not because he's not playing. That shouldn't even become into the conversation. The only thing that should really get looked at here is the rule book, the infraction, and the player's history. And that's it.
Well, if this went to the arbitrator's got it pretty simple. Now, in Harnett's situation, he got it reduced to 5 because the arbitrator said 41.4, which is the rule we're talking about, the repeat offender, wasn't clear at that time as to whether it was 5 games or 5 games in addition to the suspension for the penalty itself.
So they actually went back and changed that rule to make the language even clearer.
Yes, and so 6 games was the bare minimum. 1 for the match, 5 for the repeat offender. And I don't have a problem with it. If you're going to endanger other players like that, there's no room for headshots in the game.
Well, this is something that I think other leagues should take a look at, how serious the National Lacrosse League has been on getting rid of headshots. And I was talking with Nick Bielich before the game, and he's like, man, now if I do something again, I'm gone for. And I said, yeah, that's it. Don't do something stupid then. And he was like, man, that sometimes things happen. I'm like, yeah, but you have to be aware that you're on thin ice right now. There's no room for error for you, and there is for other players. You can get one, and then you get put on notice, and then if you do it again, then the book gets thrown at you. And right now, that's the situation that Nick's in. So he's aware of it, Everybody else is aware. Like, I just wonder, like, is the league and Bruce Urban going to bat for Nick Bielich the way that New England and Crawford and maybe some other board of governors are going to bat for Callum Crawford? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe they would, but are they even going to consider it? Like, it's because the problem I have with it's because it's Callum Crawford, and it's because he's leading the league in scoring right now that they're even entertaining the idea of maybe rescinding one of his match penalties so this automatic suspension doesn't kick in. Like, that is, if you want to be a legitimate professional sports league, this is not the type of thing that you do to keep one of your best players in the game. Like, he did something dumb, and now he has to pay for it.
I think back a couple of years ago, Aaron Bold, Frankie Giuliano both got match penalties for a repeat fight in the same whistle, right? And then a few games after, Harnett got his second, and Harnett got his two within 3 games of one another. But there was a situation where there was a buddy pass thrown 3/4 of the length of the field, and Bold is running up, almost ready to bouquet the guy, and he stops. And there's just that instant thought, I can't take myself out for 6 games because it just happened. This is the kind of thing that needs to happen.
Yeah.
If they're going, and this is exactly, my point is, I think back, 3-4 years ago, before 41-4 came on the books, and Bill O'Brien, cross-check Ryan Benesh in the head. O'Brien gets 2 games. Benesh is gone for 6.
Yeah.
There's your superstar gone for a guy that's, a borderline roster player. If you change the rule to allow a superstar back into the game because he's a superstar, the next time a low-level player takes out a superstar, you have to apply the same punishment. And that's not where they want to go with this.
No. I mean, listen, if this puts everybody else, player-wise, coaches, whatever, on notice that you're going to get preferential treatment if you're a superstar player, I think it's a better message to send that it doesn't matter who you are. If you do something dumb, you're going to have to pay the price for it. And this is an opportunity for the league to really set an example that they are serious about eliminating headshots from the game. And the fact that Brad Curry came out and played the next shift after taking that hit, like I saw, again, guys trying to defend the hit. Oh, well, you played the next shift. Are you kidding me? Like, that doesn't get taken into consideration. Again, the things that get looked at when something like this happens is the act and the player's history. Doesn't matter. Like you just mentioned, O'Brien got a 2-game suspension. Benesh was out 6. So O'Brien should have served 6 games? Maybe he should have. But you can't start equating suspensions to injuries. Oh, because the guy didn't get injured, the guy shouldn't get suspended. Or because the guy was injured, the guy should be suspended as long as the guy is injured. That is a completely ridiculous argument.
I'm trying to think back to the point I was going to make, but you can't possibly consider this situation any differently. Here it is. Here's what my thought process. Match penalty, letter of the law, intent to injure. It doesn't matter if the guy gets injured. Did your action attempt to injure the guy? It would be the same thing as if you two-handed a guy square across the temple. It doesn't matter if he got up or not. You intended to take him out, and that's a match penalty.
Yeah, I want to say this, Evan. I want to say this because I don't think Callum Crawford has it in his DNA to go out and intentionally try and injure somebody. He's not that guy. Okay, like that's I know that much. Callum Crawford would not intentionally go out and try and injure somebody. But what he did was it checked every single box. He blindside hit on a defenseless player, left his feet, and made contact with the head. That is literally the definition of a match penalty. And that's what he got. And now you want to turn around and maybe say, well, I don't know. I really hope they don't do this, Evan. I think it would be completely silly and not smart to even entertain the idea to do this. We'll see what happens, but that's kind of the scuttlebutt we're starting to hear coming early into this week, that this idea of maybe rescinding a match penalty to Crawford is being entertained. So stay tuned for that. That was a long opening segment, Evan Schemenauer. We got to get to break because on the other side we have the assistant coach for the San Diego Seals, Josh Sanderson, will join us here on Extreme Threads Lacrosse Classified right here on the Lacrosse All-Stars Podcast Network.
Pure Vita Labs is proud to bring you the highest quality sports supplements on the market. PVL products are 100% all-natural with no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners. And the entire line is also Informed Choice certified. We designed all our products with the athlete in mind. We look forward to being a part of your athletic achievements, helping you push the bar higher, win at the highest levels, and set personal records for years to come.
Hey, this is John Gertler, the voice of the Buffalo Bandits. You're listening to Lacrosse Classified on Lax All-Stars, growing the game one podcast at a time.
All right, welcome back to Lacrosse Classified here on the Lax All-Stars Podcast Network. Jake Elliott, Evan Schemenauer with you. Big thanks to our friends at Pure Vita Labs. Anything else would be unsportsmanlike. PVL.com is where you can find them. Make sure you follow them on social media as well at Pure Vita Labs, and you can check out all the products that they have on the market, all the players they have under their sponsorship, and you get an idea of what they're all about. So follow them at Pure Vita Labs and see what the good friends over there, Rob and Ryan, my good friends, are doing at Pure Vita Labs. Good stuff over there. Now join us here on the podcast. It's the offensive coach of the San Diego Seals and retired NLL Hall of Famer as well, Josh Sanderson. Shooter, thanks for joining us here once again.
Thanks for having me, Jake.
Our pleasure, man. I know you're back in Orangeville right now, but you were just in San Diego. I'll tell you what, I was in Saskatchewan last weekend, and it was like minus 712. And I'm watching Instagram stories of like Bradley and Dawson and a couple of the... You guys are like out for a morning jog on the beach, barefoot, running along the sand. I just like... I'm going to myself like, what is wrong with this picture right now? But it looks just unbelievable.
Yeah, it is really nice. Really good setup. We get to practice outside, which is right outside the arena, and the boys are really liking it. And it's first class all the way. Steve takes care of the staff and the players really well, and the guys are playing hard. So so far it's just been really good.
I'm thinking back to one of our first podcasts here this season. We had Steve on the air, and when we asked him what the goal for the season was, he said the goal is to make the playoffs, see what happens from there. He thought you guys could get past Vancouver. Calgary, Colorado remained to be seen. The Rush were going to be awfully difficult. Clearly now the goalposts have moved. You're looking at a home playoff game potentially. You're potentially looking at first place. You could be tied for first at the end of this week. Has how good this team has been so quickly been a surprise to you at all?
We got a group of guys that are working and competing and doing everything Patty and the staff been asking of them. So obviously we're just taking one game at a time, and obviously the last game was huge for us to get the tiebreaker and get 5-4 heading into the second half. So obviously, when Steve mentioned playoffs, obviously is the first goal. That's, that was correct. We want to try to earn a spot in there. And we took a big step on the weekend, but there's a lot of work to do, and things can change in a hurry in this league. So, right now the focus is on Colorado. That's it's a similar situation as last week. We can really get some separation, and that's our focus is trying to be real good against Colorado this weekend.
Yeah, that's a huge game against the Mammoth coming up as we speak with Josh Sanderson here. I want to talk about the coaching staff a little bit, Josh, because when it was all formed, it was kind of guys that didn't really... I mean, you guys had lots of playing experience in the National Lacrosse League, but not a whole lot of coaching experience in the National Lacrosse League, and it was kind of like, man, how is this going to work? But you, Patty Merrill and Billy Greer, all former Toronto Rock players, all guys that played together and know each other very well, have really meshed together and have got this team clicking. What's the dynamic been like between the three of you?
Well, it's been great. Obviously, started, I think, back, playing with each other. So there's, that respect right there. And we're all good friends. And, I just know, coming in, obviously I knew Patty was the head coach, and I know how hard he works and how creative a job he's done, obviously, with the Hill program and, Six Nations, winning some Minto Cups, and Billy Greer, is just such a great guy and such a hard worker, too. So there's just a real good relationship between the three of us, and obviously we're working hard and trying to get the guys ready every weekend. And a ton of credit to the players. They really, they're really focused on competing hard every week and trying to win that game. And like I said, we've had a couple bumps in the road, but last weekend was so huge for us, and we're trying to get some momentum off it and get on a little bit of a winning streak.
Yeah, talking about Billy Greer, because he seems like a pretty mild-mannered guy. And you're pretty calm and collected on the bench, and you really kind of deliver your message very straightforward. But like Billy, he runs hot, man. Like, he is bouncing around back there. He's rah-rah, and he gets pretty fired up. Is the mesh like between you, Pat, and him, kind of everybody, like you got Billy that's like way up as far as the temperature, you're kind of down lower, and Pat's somewhere in the middle? Is that how it kind of works on that Seals bench?
Sometimes I think it depends how well the O and the D and everybody's playing, but Billy's into it. He's a competitor, and all three of us, very competitive people. So we feel we got a nice balance, and obviously some games are different than others, but it's been new to us. Obviously, it's our first time for all three of us on the NLL bench, but again, we got a great leadership group, and so far things have been clicking pretty good. And we got an open line of communication, and Billy's just great to work with. So it's been a good fit.
One guy on your squad I'm really happy for is Dan Dawson. Last year he had a situation in Rochester where he became the healthy scratch. He gets traded to Saskatchewan. He quickly becomes the healthy scratch once again. Talk about his resurgence and just what he's meant to your offense for the Seals.
Well, Dan's brought a lot to the table for us this year. He's part of our leadership group. Obviously he's producing on the floor. He can do a lot of different things, right? He's so smart, and size for picks is really important for us. And just his overall IQ and leadership. He's done everything we've asked, and I think everybody's happy for him in our room. Especially, we had that big win against Rochester, and he played real well for us in that game, and he's just obviously a great pro.
What about the rookie Austin Stats, Josh? I mean, there's been a couple of games where he's had monster games. There's been a couple of games where he hasn't really produced. But how special is this kid? Like, when he's on, he's not only the best rookie in the league, he may be one of the best in the league, period. And to be able to work with this guy, obviously a guy that, you played the same role as he, or on that lefty shooter spot. I mean, what have you been able to impact on his game? But just talk about his game in general, Josh, and how special you think he can be.
Well, he's very special. Obviously, you've seen, last weekend and plenty of games, just how dominant he can be. And, obviously he's had a couple off games, so to speak, but, he's also a rookie too. So, there's some learning curves along the way, but he's been great for us. Great kid, works hard, he uses his size. He can shoot every part of the net. So that's what I think he makes him most dangerous. He can hit any spot. So when he's on, it's tough for a goalie to, to figure out what he's doing. And, he's just been really good in the dressing room too. And, Audie's a big part of our club, coming in as a rookie and a first overall pick. He's been delivering.
And obviously not on your side of the bench, but Frankie Giuliano. This is a guy that was a proven starter, lost his starting job a year ago. He comes into San Diego, and I believe right now he's second in save percentage. Obviously a guy that's contributing far beyond what you expected, but a guy that's critical to your success going forward.
Oh, for sure. I think any goalie, starting goalie on any team, obviously, is so big. But Frankie, Frankie's been awesome for us. He's been great off the floor. He's one of our leaders, and he's just been steady every game, and just a great teammate. And Frankie's been awesome. So everybody's really happy for him. Saying that, we're only halfway through the year, and we got a big stretch coming up. So obviously, we're hoping Frankie keeps playing the way he does. But everybody's definitely happy for him, and he's just such a great guy and great leader for us right now.
Yeah, you got Colorado coming up, and then Saskatchewan in a couple of weeks. I'm going to try and make that trip down to San Diego, Shooter. So clean up the beach house for me, because old Jumbo might need a place to flop around for a couple of days when I'm down there.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure, we'll take care of you, Jake.
Good stuff. Hey, one more before I let you go. I think Evan has one more as well, but I wanted to ask you about minor nationals this summer. They're taking place in my hometown of Coquitlam, British Columbia. Josh, I know you spent some time there, and you got a couple of boys playing. What's the prognosis here for the young Northmen? Are you going to be making a trip west this summer, or what's going on there?
I'm for the team, Ontario national team. I'm doing the midget team, so my oldest son will be trying out for that, and then my other son will be trying out for the Pee-wees. So we're definitely going to be out there. I'm obviously hoping both boys make it, and expecting a really good week out there, especially with so much going on lacrosse-wise. It's going to be really nice to be a part of, and definitely looking forward to the end of the summer.
Brand new fan base in San Diego. You never know how a new fan base is going to react to the game, but give us a vibe within the community there. What's it looking like? Or how people are talking about it, and even the atmosphere in the crowd when you get to a game in San Diego.
Yeah, you know what? It's been really good so far. Great feedback. We had a good crowd on the weekend. Our home opener is really good, and the word's getting out. It's on TV now, so everything's been great that way. And we're just hoping to grow it in the area, and I think more people are going to keep coming. And besides the one home game, they've all been pretty good games. And the fans were in. At the end of the game the other night, it was loud, and they were all into it. So it's a really good sign. And obviously, we're hoping as the year goes on, each game gets more and more people out, and they enjoy it, and it just keeps getting better and better. But Steve and the staff's been great, and the marketing, it's all over the city, on billboards, and people are asking, and it's been really good.
Okay, well, just no cliff jumping in closed off areas down there, Josh. Okay.
You don't have to worry about me doing any cliff jumping, Jake. That's for sure.
All right, man. Hey, appreciate your time. I'll let you get back to selling some lacrosse sticks and some hockey skates back at Sanderson Sports there in the Ville, and we'll look forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks down San Diego, hopefully.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. That was Josh Sanderson, offensive coach for the San Diego Seals. He has their Seals just one game back of the Rush, and those two teams are going to meet in a couple of weeks. They have Colorado this weekend. That's a big game there for the Seals and the Mammoth, Evan, heading into Week 13.
Absolutely. Not only can they keep pace with the Rush for first, but they're going to be a good 3-4 games ahead of Colorado at that stage, and with just 8 to go, it almost starts to solidify that playoff spot for them. And now they can not worry about making the playoffs, and they can worry about getting a home playoff game at that point. Yeah, no, it's been a real good story for San Diego and the Seals, and I didn't think they would be this good this quickly, but, I've watched Steve Govett and what he's been able to do coming from Philadelphia to Colorado and starting up that program and seeing where it is now, and I had really no doubt that he was going to be able to do the same down in San Diego, especially with an owner like Joe Tsai behind him, with all the support that he's given them. So good things happening down there in San Diego, and it's translating right onto the floor as they sit in second place, just one game back, and with a victory this weekend can move back into a tie with Saskatchewan. So Rush have that one game lead as they beat them earlier in the year, and it's going to be a fun one on the 22nd. Time to get to break once again here, Evan.
on Extreme Threads Lacrosse Classified. On the other side, we got number 2 from the Saskatchewan Rush. He's a brand new father. Bret Minsky will join us on the other side here on Lacrosse Classified on the Lax All-Stars Podcast Network.
Associated Labels and Packaging is in the business of creating first impressions. They'll help you reflect your company values accurately by offering solutions that fit your product needs. With the latest in printing technology and over 35 years of experience, Associated Labels and Packaging is the perfect fit for your company to take your labels and packaging to the next level.
Hey, this is Teddy Jenner, voice of the Colorado Mammoth. You're listening to Lacrosse Classified on Lax All-Stars. Growing the game one podcast at a time.
Welcome back to Lacrosse Classified here on Lax All-Stars. Thanks to our friends at Associated Labels and Packaging. They create first impressions. They are the best in the business when it comes to labels and packaging. Make sure you follow them at Associated LP. Their website is associated-labels.com. And Sean Ashworth and the gang there at Associated Labels and Packaging are the best. So make sure you follow them on social media, and then anytime you need a label or package, well, give them a call, and they'll hook you up. Bret Minsky is now on the podcast from the Saskatchewan Rush. He wears number 2. He's a brand new father. Bret, how's dad life, man? Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. Dad life's awesome, man. It's definitely the best thing ever. It's good to come home after a long weekend away and see the little girl's face.
Well, tell us about the little girl. You and Kate have been together a long time. You finally have your first child. What's the girl's name? Poundage. When was it born? When was she born? All that sort of stuff. Give me the name. Give me the details. Give me all the stats.
The name's Goldie Jean Mydske. She was born 7 pounds 12 ounces. Born January 20th. Which I got lucky because we had a game the 19th and ended up flying home and texted her when I got off the plane. How you doing? She's like, I think my water broke. So went straight from the airport to the hospital. So I made sure I let the little girl know before I left that week. And I said, you better not come. Otherwise I'll be in trouble for the rest of your life there.
Yeah.
So,
well, she hung on.
So she listened and it all worked out.
Well, maybe the more important question is she a lefty or a righty?
I don't know.
Well, this is an interesting situation here with you because, I mean, the Mydske boys, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 4 of you, right, that all play lacrosse.
Yeah.
But you're all kind of defensive guys. But then you're married to a Goss, who is the last name Goss, for lacrosse fans will know, is very synonymous with New Westminster Sandbell lacrosse and one of the greatest, if not the greatest ever, play retired jersey, and I think that's Kate's uncle, but the Goss family are all kind of offensive players. So there's a healthy mix here with the Mydske family being D guys and then the Goss family being all O. This could be like the prototypical, this could be like the best lacrosse player to ever be born right here.
Yeah, it has the potential, I guess, eh?
Let's hope so. Well, Bret, why don't we start with a couple of days ago, a big rematch on the Battle of the Prairies against the Roughnecks. They won the first one, and they've never done that in Saskatoon before, and that had to leave a bit of a sour taste in your mouth. But you guys get some redemption with a pretty convincing win on the weekend over the Roughnecks. That one had to feel pretty good.
Absolutely. I think everybody in the room kind of felt that the last time we lost to Calgary was probably felt like the worst loss since we've been in Sask. So to get a little bit of redemption on home floor, it definitely felt good. And I think we only played them 3 times. So we needed to make sure we won that game to keep that season series still achievable against those guys.
One of the big question marks coming into the season, of course, was the loss of Sorketti, the loss of Cornwall, the loss of Dilks, and all these new pieces that had to come into the puzzle. It took a little bit of time, but it seems like now everybody seems to be gelling a lot better. Talk to me about all the new guys you got out the back door.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Jordy Jones, he's played every game so far, and he's been consistent since game 1. He knows the system, caught on pretty good. Then we brought in a guy like Travis Cornwall to help out, and I thought he had probably his best game of the year last game there. And McGrady, Finley, they've all been around the team for a long time, but the type of defense we play is it's hard to pick up right away, but I think after we beat Vancouver, we kind of weren't really happy with their performance. So we let in 13 goals, and we kind of rewatched some game film and noticed we were doing some things wrong every single game of the year so far. So we kind of focused in on those, and the results showed the last 2 games, letting in 7 against Colorado and then 9 against Calgary there. So I think we're all on the right page right now.
Yeah, for me, as we speak with Bret Minsky, it's not so much like the first slide or even the second slide. It's that third guy knowing when and where to go. And it just seems over the last couple of games, like you mentioned, that third guy has been much more in tune with the defense and knowing when and where to go. And that makes such a big difference in your defensive system. But a guy that, aside from the new guys, Bret, the guy that you've really kind of played the majority of your career with has been Kyle Rubus, and the way that you two work together, checking the lefties as both right-handed defenders. It's almost like clockwork. The way, I don't even know if you got a big key to defense is communication, but do you guys even really need to talk to each other that much? Like knowing when to switch and when to stay and when the picks come, because it's almost seamless.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I guess we played together for 7 years now, 8 years coming up. So definitely we know each other's tendencies, and communication is important and all that. But I think when you play with somebody that long, and we played the same system, it's almost second nature.
I think back to a conversation we had. This was the day after the championship last year, and you get to be a free agent. You could have gone and played in Vancouver, be closer to home. You get picked up in the expansion draft unexpectedly in San Diego. You could have made franchise player money. So you take less money. You're further away from home to play in Saskatchewan. Does playing for the Rush or playing for a winning team mean that much to you that it was worth the extra travel and the fewer dollars?
Absolutely. I count my blessings all the time to getting drafted to the Rush. We've had such a good, I'd say, 7 years since I've been there. It's 10th year. We've had a couple ups and downs my first couple of years, but not every day you get a chance to play for a team like the Rush right now, and it's kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity to be on such a good team. So I wouldn't pass that up for anything in the world.
Well, you're the franchise leader in games played, and I think you're going to go down as the leader in that category when it's all said and done, Bret. Now, before we move on here, I watched something over the weekend that I haven't seen so far from you guys, and that was this. I don't even know what to call it. It almost looked like it manifested organically. The offense was all off the turf and into the video room. The defense had a few extra minutes to spare out on the turf, and you guys were kind of whipping balls at Shooter, and then all of a sudden this little game kind of broke out where you guys were all kind of around the crease, and then somebody would take a shot, and then you guys would kind of dive and poke at I don't even know how to explain it, but it looked hilarious, and I've never seen it before, but it seemed like it was something new to the group, and it just kind of came about. Can you explain what was going on, and is this something you guys are going to continue moving forward here?
Yeah, there's been a kind of a group of us that have been playing that game for the last couple of years with Shooter, and I guess we kind of made it up. We call it rebound. So it's us against Shooter. So first 1 to 5 points win. So if we score, we get a goal, or we get a point. If he saves one and then gets a rebound, then he gets a point. So it's a pretty fun game, and I guess last weekend quite a few people ended up chipping in on that game. So it's good team bonding, and it's fun.
Well, there's actually another game that you guys play in the warm-up where you're basically taking hoop shots for the crossbar.
Yeah, I know that started a long time ago. Johnny Laugh started that back in the day, and it's kind of carried on. I even see guys that get traded from our team to other teams, they start playing that. I saw Calgary playing it a few years ago, and other teams kind of adapted to that now.
Is that really like the sign of a team that's close-knit and has good team chemistry, is those type of things, Bret? Like, I know, like, going out to team meals is one thing, and hanging out with each other kind of away from the rink is another, but these little games that you guys play and the rituals and routines that you go through, those are real important things to helping a team win. Absolutely.
I mean, I've said it since we've kind of had our core guys and been on these championship runs. It's definitely by far the closest group of guys I've ever played with, and yeah, it's kind of infectious, that type of stuff, and that's what you need. People have been on other teams before, and you kind of get the vibe if you've got the chemistry to win a championship at that level. And I think that's the type of stuff that people don't see that kind of really help out.
We talked about Kyle Rubus before. This guy seems to be a human vacuum back there. He has caused turnover. I think he had 10 in the last couple games.
I know.
Do you think he's the MVP? He's the most outstanding defenseman now at this point in the year?
I'd say so. Just the way he can manhandle anybody in this league. It seems like he takes the ball off guys in practice. Like, it's just textbook. Go down the lane and one-hand swat, takes the ball away.
But it's like,
see guys just like Mark Matthews is just laughing, shaking his head like, geez, how does he do it?
But that's the thing, though, right, Bret? Is that, like, he makes it look absolutely effortless, but it's like he's the only guy that can do it.
Oh yeah, if I try to do a one-hand swat, guy still has the ball. Kyle does it. It looks so effortless. And the stick comes flying out of his hands. We're like, what the? The lead pipe in that shaft.
It's true. Before I let you go, Bret, you had the big empty netter against the Mammoth. I thought you probably should have taken like 5 or 6 more steps before you let it fly. But you put that thing on the bounce right up into the top corner. Were you worried about that one when you let it go? Because I was like, oh man, he's shooting way too early.
I wanted to shoot kind of where I did shoot, but I didn't anticipate the ball coming off the turf that high. I was just worried that if I let Wardle start running back a little more, he might make me look silly and end up diving and saving the shot. But I always like to do a little bounce before it ends up in the net, because those empty nets, you try to get in one shot, end up bouncing over the net or whatnot. But luckily it all worked out. Otherwise, I'd owe the boys a case of beer.
There you go. It's funny how sometimes the empty netters are harder than others. It's almost like reverse psychology. Hey, Bret, I know you got to get back to work. I appreciate you taking a little time here to spend with us on Lacrosse Classified, and enjoy the bye week. Enjoy the new family, and we'll catch up with you back in Saskatoon on St. Paddy's Day, man.
Will do. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Bret Minsky of the Saskatchewan Rush. Him and Kyle Rubus, Evan Schemenauer, I got to say, like, the best defensive tandem in the league, and it's not even close.
And you take a look, when they played Colorado, they made Ryan Benesch look invisible. Dane Doby, other than, a power play goal, he had one that he got past, and this happens time and time again. Austin Stotts he had a big night, but he had a big night while he was on the power play, not 5-on-5. These two just seem to shut that door, and lefties are having a heck of a time over there.
Yeah, and it's no surprise why Derek Keenan went out, and Bret wanted to be in Saskatchewan. They wanted Mydske back here, and they paid a price for him, but I think it was a price that was well warranted, because you just watch the damage that they do on that back end with him and Rubus, and you can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on it, and when you got a guy that wants to be where he is, that can help you along as well. We got to get to break, Evan, because you know what's on the other side. It's the sensation sweeping the nation. It's Who You Got by Stampede Tack and Western Wear, right here on Lacrosse Classified. On the other side, I will make my predictions to extend my lead over Evan Schemenauer next. Keep it locked right here on Lacrosse Classified on Lax All-Stars Podcast Network.
Serving the business and sports community since 2018, Extreme Threads provides custom design apparels around the world. Specializing in lacrosse, they deliver exceptional quality and service, customizing box and field team apparel and uniforms. Extreme Threads offers free design work and takes the time to ensure you get exactly what you need for your team or club. Contact Extreme Threads at sales@extremethreads.ca for your custom apparel needs today.
All right, welcome back to Extreme Threads Lacrosse Classified. Speaking of Extreme Threads, they are our title sponsor here on the podcast. Make sure you're following them on social media as well at Extreme Threads. They're on the IG. They're always posting up pictures of the work that they do and the teams that they create apparel packages for, and they do a fine job of it, and you should follow them so you can see what they do, and then that might encourage you to sign up. And then once you sign up your team for an apparel package, mention my name at sales@extremethreads.com. When you sign up, mention my name, get free stuff. That's how it works right here on Lax Class. So do that at Extreme Threads. Big thanks to Bret Minsky for stopping by. Good chat there. It's Jake Elliott, Evan Schemenauer with you, and it's time, Evan. It's time for the sensation that's sweeping the nation as I do my John Gertler impersonation once again. Who you got right here, presented by Stampede, Tack, and Western Wear. Now, for fans that don't know, we got a bet on the line. Whoever finishes in last, so second place, if you will have to get in a complete cowboy get-up. And then we're going to post some pictures up on social media thanks to my friend Kevin Michael Winkler at Stampede Tack and Western Wear. Your complete source for boots. Check them out. A huge selection of Cowboy and Blundstone, all CSA-approved boots. They ship Canada-wide. You know where they're located in Cloverdale, my neck of the woods, since 1967. Online at stampedetack.ca, where shopping online is still shopping local. And you can give them a follow along as well at Stampede Tack. So, Evan, before we get started here with Who You Got, let the fans know where we sit after Week 12 action in the National Lacrosse League. The overall standings, if you will, please.
There's only one important number here, and that is somebody went a perfect 4-0 last year.
No. That's not the important number. The real important number is the overall standings. Let's have it.
You're 38-19, so 67%. I'm one game back, 37-20, 65%.
Oh, that seems like way more. When you say 19 and then you say 20, 20 just seems like way more than 19.
No.
The numbers have changed there. So 38-19, that means I'm in first place. That means you get to host Who Ya Got.
Think about it. I get to host. I had a perfect week, and
you're starting to take my spiel away here, Evan. Come up with your own material, please. I'm in first. You get to host. Let's go. Who you got? Let's go. Let's go.
All right, Friday night game. Buffalo front end of a doubleheader headed to Philly. Who ya got?
9-2 Buffalo against 2-8 Philadelphia. Buffalo playing back-to-back games here, Evan. By the way, as I scramble to find my page from who we had, just to let you know and the fans know out there, Georgia at home, 1. Saskatchewan at home, 1. San Diego at home, 1. New England at home, 1. All 4 teams at home, all 1 in Week 12.
Those top 4 in the East are now 20-4.
Yeah, that's a wild stat this season. That doesn't happen, but it's happening this year. But with all that being said, I got to take Buffalo in this game. I just think they're just a better team, flat out, and the record indicates that. I know they're playing a back-to-back. Philly on the front half of it. Give me the Bandits over the Wings.
Give me the Bandits, too. They're in first place for a reason. I think they steamroll this one. maybe they save a little bit of energy if they're up big towards the end for the next game. But I just don't see Philly having a shot in this one. But then we got Saturday night's game, the back end. This one might be a tough one to pick. Georgia headed into Buffalo. Now, we got that 20-4 stat, but Buffalo is on their second game in 2 nights. Who you got?
That is a good question. I want to ask you who you got, Evan, before I make my pick, but unfortunately it doesn't work like that. Now, these two, remind me now, Evan, these two teams played earlier in the year, and it was a convincing win for Buffalo in that one?
The only home loss Georgia's had all year.
So I don't know if I should take that into consideration or not. I just feel like Buffalo is a better team than Georgia, so I'm going to take the Bandits.
I'm going to take the Swarm, and it's just this. It's the tail end of a back-to-back against a strong team.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's just going to have that little bit of extra energy that they'll carry it through. But I was about ready to flip a coin on this one.
It's not a tough travel day from Philadelphia to Buffalo, and they play the back half of that home and home at home, so they're going to be comfortable at home. I just think Buffalo is a better team. So you're taking the Swarm. I'm taking the Bandits in that one. Okay.
And then off we go to the Mile High City. San Diego looking to even things up in the West with the Rush. Colorado needing to get some space on Vancouver. Who you got?
Man, this is another tough pick for me. Like I honestly thought Colorado was going to kind of surprise everybody and come up with a victory in New England. It didn't happen. I heard Pat Coyle's post-game comments, and he kind of said, like, the previous 3 or 4 games to that last one there, he felt like the Mammoth were taking steps in the right direction, but he almost said that he felt them go backwards in that last game, and that, quote-unquote, the inmates were kind of running the asylum and doing things that weren't really in the game plan and kind of beating to their own drum a little bit. That's not a good sign. With all that said, like, this, to me, is Colorado's season right here. And I know it's not, but this is like a huge game for the Mammoth. If they want to create that separation between Vancouver, they're at home here. Things are going sideways on them. If they want to turn their season around, I circle this game right here against the Seals. Man, I want to take Colorado in this game. I'm going to take Colorado in this game. Prove me right, Mammoth. Give me Colorado over San Diego.
Maybe I get my chance to take the lead here. I'm going to take the Seals. And the simple reason is that Colorado had a terrible game this week. They couldn't get their offense going in Saskatchewan. Until they get that offensive unit going the way it needs to go, I can't pick them.
I know.
It's that simple. I just can't.
I think this is the weekend that they do get it going there, so I'm trying to get ahead of the curve. I don't want to wait for them to get going and then pick them. I want to pick them believing that they will get it going.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening. And the Seals are going to have, I think, just a few too many weapons up front. You can try and isolate Stotts, and a guy like Kyle Buchanan, who had 5 goals this week, can burn you. So I'm just going to take the Seals. And then here's another one that I'm ready to flip a coin on this last one again. Toronto headed out west to Calgary. Toronto coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Ooh, man. I don't like going first is what I don't like doing. So I'm almost hoping you're in the lead after this week, to be quite honest with you. Toronto at Calgary. Toronto coming off a bye week. Calgary coming off a loss. But they're at home. Man, I got to take the Rock in this one, Evan. I don't think the bye week is going to affect them. I think they're going to bounce back after that loss to New England. They want to keep pace with the Bandits. They're having a heck of a season here. Give me the Rock. I'm going to take the Rock.
While you were talking, I did flip the coin.
And who had heads? Who had tails?
Heads is for home. It always is, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to take the Roughnecks. That's what the coin told me to do. And,
listening to a coin now, are you, Evan?
It's at home. Toronto's coming off the bye week. I think that will affect them. It does affect most teams. And I don't see Del Bianco letting in 15 goals in 2 straight games.
Listening to a coin. What was it? A dime? Was it a quarter? Was it a loonie?
It was a quarter.
Okay.
It was a quarter. But I could justify either team winning this game.
Yeah.
That's why I just let the coin do the talking, because the coin beat me in picks 2 years ago.
Right. I remember that.
The coin says to take the roughnecks.
Okay, so to recap here, to recap, I'm 1 game ahead at 38-19. You're at 37-20. But this week 13 here, Evan, in Stampede Tax, who you got? A lot of differentiating picks here. We both have Buffalo to beat Philadelphia. I have Buffalo to beat Georgia. You have Georgia to beat Buffalo. So there's one different. You have San Diego. I've taken Colorado. There's 2 different. I've taken Toronto. You've taken Calgary. This might be the most differentiating picks that we've had all year long. 3 different picks out of the 4 games.
We've had that before, but it was when there were 7 games.
Okay.
So not when there was just this few.
All right. So either way, somebody is going to be in the lead after this weekend. That's correct, right? My math is correct on that, Evan?
No. If I get 2 of the 3 differentiating picks right, then we're tied still.
Well, that's why you're an accountant. So, but that would mean if we get tied, but you had a better week, I get to host. So that's correct. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, but the odds of that happening, I think, are slim to none.
Well, you're an accountant, so you would know odds. But let's see how Week 13 plays out. It's getting down to crunch time here, Evan. Like, we're into Week 13, believe it or not, and that is kind of hard to believe, but that's the way it is. Philadelphia, by the way, coming off of back-to-back bye weeks. I don't know what the heck is up with that, but I don't think any team really likes that. Yeah.
These schedule makers, I don't know what happened this year. Like, I get it that there's tough situations. There's one game coming up in April where the Rush play in San Diego on Friday night. They got to catch a 6:30 a.m. flight to Phoenix to catch a connection to Saskatoon that gets in after 4 o'clock. God forbid the plane gets delayed in Phoenix, and have to play a 7 o'clock game against Philadelphia. Like, you got to think some of these things through.
That's a toughie for sure. But that's life in the NLL, man. I think that's, at least once a year, every team is going to have to go through something like that. May not be that dire, but like 6 guys didn't get their gear last week when they arrived in Saskatoon, and it wasn't, that's just almost par for the course. That's going to happen throughout the year, and that's something you just deal with and move along from. So not an ideal schedule, but something they got to deal with.
But back in 2016, we had a lot of these home and homes, and I loved them. Just give me a lot. Both teams playing in each one another's barns the same weekend. Love it.
Yeah,
give me more of those next year, please.
Ideally, I think that is what they would like to do if they can. Unfortunately, with NBA and NHL and whoever else is in their building, sometimes they don't get the number 1 time slot, and that's just not feasible for teams to schedule that type of thing around. But I think in a perfect world, yes, if you're going to play a home and home, have each team do it on the road and then at home against each other, that would be perfect. And I think, that second half of the home and home, especially if they're playing on the same weekend, it just makes that second game makes for fantastic lacrosse because they've just played against each other. They already hate each other, and then they got to go do it again 24 hours later. That makes for good lacrosse. So maybe one day, Evan, we'll see that. We're just about out of time here on Extreme Threads Lacrosse Classified. We thank you once again for hanging with us here again on a Tuesday and every week on Lax All-Stars. Trade deadline coming up, Evan, and I think we're going to see some pretty significant movement here for a number of teams. Like, this next couple of weeks is really going to determine whether teams are in it or not in it. And I think teams that are in it are going to go looking to the teams that aren't in it and see what they can pluck away from them to kind of bolster their roster heading into what I would say is a wide open playoff this year. Like, I don't think there is a real big-time, clear-cut favorite that's going to be like, okay, they're winning. Like, I think you can put Buffalo, Georgia, Toronto in the East. I think you can put Saskatchewan, San Diego, Calgary in the West. Like, it's pretty wide open, and if you can acquire a player or two that's going to help your cause, that might just push you over the top.
A couple of things you could see happen. Now, the one difficulty is going to be is that out of the 11 teams, 9 of them are really still in it. So your pickings are pretty much from Philly and from Rochester. Do some of them look at some of their older players, say, you know what, let's get some draft picks or let's get some youth back for them? That's a possibility. The other thing that you're catching wind of here and there is, do you start to look at trading somebody that you can't protect in July?
Yeah.
And that's an entire possibility that could happen. I think you'll see more of that play out as soon as the finals are over, but it could happen. I'm not expecting an overly active trade deadline. I think last year there was just one deal. So
I think there's going to be more. And Evan, like you're saying, like Philadelphia and Rochester, the only team. I think if teams are being honest with themselves, like Vancouver, Colorado, even if they do squeak in, like I don't know, man. Like I would be honestly thinking about the future a little bit more if I was those teams. And like I said, the next couple of weeks may kind of dictate on how much they actually believe they're in it or not in it. But I think you really got to start thinking about the future if you're some of those teams, and like you said, maybe for guys that you can't protect. And who knows? Like maybe a team that's at the top of the standings go. I know that's a lot of maybes, but maybe a team at the top of the standings like overpays for a guy that you get a deal that offers up a deal that you just can't turn down because it's that good. So I think there's going to be more movement than we saw a year ago. We shall see. By the way, I know there was a story coming out of Saskatoon that they had their Tell 'em Miracle Night on the weekend, and it's a fundraiser for young families, older people, all sorts of. You can probably explain it better than I can, Evan, on what Tell 'em Miracle is all about. But there was a story that somebody walked out with a bucket of donation money. There was a picture that got snapped to the person. They've you tell it, Evan, because I know this person is now in police custody.
Yeah, Tell 'em Miracle is a fabulous fundraiser in Saskatchewan. It's been going on for 43 years, and Saskatchewan's population is 1 million people, so keep that in perspective here. They do a telethon. It starts 9 p.m. on Saturday. It goes for about 20 hours all the way to 5 p.m. on Sunday. It's when we were kids, it's the one night that we're allowed to stay up as late as we want. A bunch of celebrities come out, and they raised $5.6 million. And the Rush raised $30,000 at the game through teddy bear sales and passing the bucket around.
Wow.
They'll probably raise another 10,000 or so through a jersey auction. But unfortunately, there was an incident where one of the pails through one of the sections was stolen by, I'm not going to use the word fan because a fan doesn't do this, but somebody in the building took off with it, ran off with the money. But
a human being doesn't do something like that. Like that just, to steal from a charity, that's about as scummy as you can get.
Yeah, but luckily the person has been found. The police are still investigating the incident, but there was a press release last night that has been addressed.
Well, that's good, and for whoever did that, give your head a shake. Stealing from a charity. I know there's some desperate people out there, but man, oh man, I don't know how you sleep at night doing something like that. So anyways, I'm glad the money was recovered, and a great job from Rush Nation to help raise that kind of dollar figure for a fantastic charity. So well done to Rush Nation and Saskatchewan in general. I know, Evan, you got a Random Thoughts coming out early this week. We're recording on Monday. Show comes out on Tuesday. When's Random Thoughts coming out?
It's going to come out Tuesday morning, I believe, so just got to get the last few touches on it tonight.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. And this Friday, the big swim race is going down between myself, Eric Penny, and Julian Kolb. I think we've picked the pool. I think we've picked the date and the time. So now we just got to manage to sneak a camera phone in there and actually film this race because people seem to really want to watch it. So, I'll be.
And my donation doubles if you win. Keep that in mind. As does a couple other people's. And I'm actually encouraging that for the people that contributed. Pick your guy, and if they win, double up your contribution. Let's try and help Boldy as much as we can.
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic idea, Evan. I appreciate your support. I'm not sure I'm going to win this thing. I'm going to try, but, just keep in mind here, I'm going against guys that are 10, 15 years younger than me and professional athlete in the mix as well. So Jumbo Phelps can get it done in the pool. We'll see if he can get it done against some competition in the pool. Coming up this Friday, so look for that. That should be a lot of fun. I think that's it, Evan. I think that is it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Shamlax. I'm at PXP for Sports, and the show is at Lax Class. Don't forget to follow our sponsors as well at Stampede Tack, at Pure Vital Labs, at Associated LP, and at Extreme Threads. Give those guys a follow, and thanks for listening. Thanks to Bret Minsky and Josh Sanderson for coming by the show, and to you, the listener, as always, for checking out Extreme Threads Lacrosse Classified every single Tuesday right here on Lacrosse All-Stars. We'll be back next Tuesday with another big show, so look forward to that. For Evan Schemenauer, I've been Jake Elliott, and for the fastest game on 2 feet, and for the creator, talk to you next time here on Lacrosse Classified on the Lax All-Stars Podcast Network.